Jim Harbaugh, he is the new head coach of the LA Chargers. They brought in a new general manager who is from the Baltimore Ravens. Jim also brought his entire defensive coaching staff with him from Michigan. I'm going to talk about that, and then I'm going to do a 3-round NFL mock draft right here on Football Scout 365. Now, before we get started, I want to remind you to check out all of the other analysis videos on the channel, including additional mock draft videos, individual player analysis videos, including every top quarterback in the 2024 NFL Draft. In addition to that, check out the website footballscout365.com, where you can find all of my player rankings, NFL Draft Big Board rankings, and a whole lot more. And that's all on our website, footballscout365.com. Now, the Chargers, they finished the 2023 NFL season 5-12. They fired head coach Brandon Staley. They brought in Jim Harbaugh, and Jim Harbaugh has brought the majority of his Michigan staff with him to LA. He also called out an old friend, Greg Roman, and said, "Would you like to be recycled once again?" Greg Roman obliged, and here we are. Now, as far as the coaching staff is concerned and why it matters, I like to break down the scheme approach before I do a mock draft. It matters for context and how the Chargers will likely attack the NFL draft. But the Chargers also made another key hire outside of the coaching aspect of things. They hired former Ravens executive Joe Hortiz to be their new general manager. Why does this matter? Hortiz's background, it is very interesting. He started off his NFL career in the early 2000s as an area scout under Ozzie Newsome for the Ravens. He was in that position for about 8 years. Eventually, he elevated into a national scouting role before elevating once again into the Ravens director of college scouting for the next decade. He has been the director of player personnel under Ravens general manager Eric DeCosta since 2019. Now, this is a very important data point regarding how the Chargers might plan to approach the future in terms of their roster construction and their vision for the team. Now, let's reshift our focus back to the coaching side of things. Now, a year ago, the Chargers, they were a pass-happy offense. They threw the football 70% of the time with Kellen Moore as their offensive coordinator. According to Pro Football Focus, the Chargers, they had the lowest run blocking grade in 2023. They will look to improve this aspect from day one. Now, as I already mentioned, they added Greg Roman as the new OC, a Jim Harbaugh disciple that runs the same scheme currently utilized at the University of Michigan, meaning that you can expect a massive change in terms of style from the Chargers offense from 2023 to 2024. Now, Roman, he's been an assistant under Jim Harbaugh at Stanford. He was an assistant with Jim Harbaugh in San Francisco. He is also credited for the evolution of the 49ers offense with Colin Kaepernick. He was a part of the Stanford offense with Jim Harbaugh when he had Andrew Luck at Stanford. Roman, he's also the architect of the Ravens offense that led to an MVP year for Lamar Jackson back in 2019. It is almost always 60-40 run versus pass in a Greg Roman style offense. Now, in 2023, the Chargers, under Kellen Moore, the offense, they called a pass on nearly 70% of non-garbage time snaps. That is a drastically different approach than what we are going to see with Harbaugh and Greg Roman. In addition, you're going to see a lot of different personnel groupings in 2024 with Greg Roman. And by comparison, Kellen Moore ran only 2 personnel types, 11 personnel, that's 1 back and 1 tight end, and 12 personnel, that's 1 back and 2 tight ends in 2023. Now, under Greg Roman, you're going to see him utilize 11 personnel, 12 personnel, 22 personnel, for example. You'll see 2 backs and 2 tight ends. So I know what you were thinking. What does this mean for Justin Herbert? It means a lot of play action pass, a lot of schemed open targets. Herbert's going to be what Andrew Luck was to Jim Harbaugh when he was at Stanford. You are going to see Justin Herbert's efficiency rate just absolutely go through the roof. What about the Chargers defense? In 2023, they ranked 28th in total yards allowed. They had the 30th ranked pass defense. They were in the middle of the league at stopping the run. Now, when you are supposed to be a defensive-minded head coach like Brandon Staley, none of that equals success. And with that being said, Jim Harbaugh brought with him the Michigan defensive coordinator in Jesse Minter. Minter is a former Baltimore Ravens assistant coach. He took a similar path as Mike Macdonald, who came to Michigan back in 2021 to be the DC. And as you all know, Mike Macdonald is now the current head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. He too was also a Ravens assistant coach. Now, in terms of base defensive personnel looks, you are going to see some similarities to the former regime. Staley's defense has deployed some 4-2-5, some 2-4-5, and some 3-3-5 looks. You're going to see a similar approach from Jesse Minter, who uses similar alignments, but with varying creativity. Okay, let's move away from the scheme and coaching. Let's talk pending free agents and team needs, and then we're going to dive into this 3-round NFL mock draft. So when I view the Chargers roster, they have about 25 or so pending free agents. The most glaring of these potential losses include cornerback Michael Davis, running back Austin Ekeler, linebacker Kenneth Murray, and safety Alohi Gilman. A couple of other considerations are interior defensive lineman Austin Johnson and Nick Williams. You're going to lose some depth on the interior of that defensive line, so you're going to have to replace that. Now, in terms of team needs, you're going to need to replace Austin Ekeler, so running back is an absolute need. I imagine they might use a committee approach unless they sign Austin Ekeler or bring in a free agent like Saquon Barkley in the offseason. Tight end is obviously a major need as well. The wide receiver group, you've got some aging players. Keenan Allen, obviously, he still has some juice left in him, but Mike Williams, this dude just can't stay healthy. I have zero predictions for year 2 Quinton Johnston, so we'll kind of see how this plays out. Now, as far as offensive line is concerned, Pipkins, he didn't grade well as a run blocker at right tackle in 2023, but overall, they've got a pretty solid core on the offensive line. So maybe they go this route. Maybe they try to replace Pipkins. Maybe they try to add depth in that regard. In terms of defensive line depth, that is also a concern, and that should be a need that they look at in the NFL draft. Linebacker could be a need, and you're going to need to load up on defensive backs in today's NFL, especially at a Jesse Minter style defense. So with all of that, I am ready to draft for the LA Chargers. I will run a 3-round mock draft using the PFF Mock Draft Simulator. I will address the top needs based on the best available according to the Football Scout 365 NFL Draft Big Board Rankings, which you can find at footballscout365.com. Again, that's our top 100 NFL Draft player rankings on our website, footballscout365.com. Okay, the Chargers, they possess the number 5 overall pick. They possess the number 37 overall pick in the second round, and they have the 69th overall pick in the third round of the 2024 NFL Draft. So at pick number 5, I'm going to run the simulator and see what we have. I will tell you that I am already favoring Brock Bowers here. I also like the tackles, Joe Alt and Olu Fashanu. Now, another interesting scenario could be if Marvin Harrison Jr. falls to pick number 5. What if I chose him over Brock Bowers? What if Malik Neighbors is available? A lot of people favor Malik Neighbors even over Marvin Harrison Jr. What if any of the QB2 candidates like Drake May, Jaden Daniels, JJ McCarthy, what if those guys are available at pick number 5? And that allows me to trade back with a QB needy team looking to move up to gain more draft capital along the way. So what I want to do here is I want to try something a little bit different than I have in the previous 2 videos. I'm going to do 2 different draft scenarios for the first 3 rounds. But what I want to try first is I want to see what happens if I do trade back, gain additional draft capital, and then make my picks from there. And then I'm going to do one where I play it as it lies and I just make my pick at number 5 in my second and third round pick. And then I want to ask you, the viewer, to comment on which one you like the best, or maybe you don't like either one of those. And you tell me what your thoughts are in how you would approach the 2024 NFL Draft. So in the first scenario, I decided I'm going to trade back from pick number 5. And this time I'm going to trade with the Minnesota Vikings, who are looking to move up to draft a quarterback at the number 5 spot to get in front of a few other teams. Since a couple quarterbacks have fallen, both Jaden Daniels and JJ McCarthy are available at pick number 5. So in that trade, I was able to acquire round 1, pick 11 in this current draft, and round 2, pick 42 in this current draft, as well as a third round pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, which does not matter. But I want to run through all 4 of these picks here briefly. And at pick number 11, after making that trade, I end up choosing a defensive back first, a potential lockdown corner on the outside to pair up with Asante Samuel Jr. in this defense with Jesse Minter, the new defensive coordinator. And I got Toledo defensive back Quinyon Mitchell to start things off here. And it's an absolute home run, in my opinion, to pick up Quinyon Mitchell at corner here after a brilliant Senior Bowl showing, after a brilliant year at Toledo this past season. This is one of the best defensive backs I've seen in terms of his ability to mirror and match receivers. You could see it when he was doing the one-on-one drills at the Senior Bowl. This is a player that you're going to continue to see moving up draft boards. You're going to see him mocked inside of that top 20 of the NFL draft. I feel like pick 11 is a perfect spot to grab this guy. I feel comfortable taking him anywhere from pick 10 to pick 15 in the 2024 NFL Draft. Now in round 2, pick number 37, we need a tight end. We need to add versatility to this offense. And I'm going to go with Texas tight end Jatavion Sanders. He can catch. He still needs to improve as a blocker. All these guys coming out of college need to improve as blockers. Now for the second pick, the pick that I picked up from the Minnesota Vikings in the trade, from pick 5 to pick 11. In the 2024 NFL Draft, I'm going to take an offensive tackle in Kingsley Suamataia from BYU. He's a guy that I can flip into the right tackle spot immediately if I need to, if I don't feel confident in Pipkins. He's also a guy that I could flip into guard temporarily. And now with the 69th pick in the NFL Draft, my original third round pick, so we get a bonus pick here because of that trade that I made. We're going to take Michigan running back Blake Corum, and we're going to get this guy. We're going to plug him in, an absolute perfect match for Jim Harbaugh in a Greg Roman style offense. Probably the best vision I've seen from a running back in quite some time. This dude sees every opening when it's there. He knows how to squeeze through those openings. He's got the contact balance. He's got great agility in space. So I just went over the mock draft where I traded back from pick 5 to pick 11 with the Minnesota Vikings. Now, for these 3 picks, I'm just going to play it as it lies. I'm going to pick at number 5, 37, and 69. And we're going to start off with tight end Brock Bowers from the University of Georgia. At pick number 5, the obvious perfect match in this Jim Harbaugh offense with Greg Roman. An automatic upgrade to this offense at a position of need. We knock it out of the park with this one. Now with my second round pick number 37, I'm going to take Michigan corner Mike Sainristil. He's a nickel corner. He already understands the Jesse Minter defense. He's a high IQ football player. Really reminds me a lot of the Honey Badger. This was a guy who played offense when he first got to Michigan, made the transition to defense, and he's been elite ever since. He's a ball hawk. He can run routes for the receivers. He's sort of a mirror and match kind of guy as well. I think you plug him in from day one, automatic upgrade for this LA Chargers defense, and I believe a culture kind of player to add to that defensive roster as well moving forward. Now with my third round pick, number 69 overall, I am looking to address the running back position. Obviously the Austin Ekeler situation, we have that going on. Will he leave in free agency? Will Jim Harbaugh retain his services? Even if you do, you're going to need a running back at some point. Now, I might be overdrafting at the running back position, but a player did fall. This is the RB1 on my NFL draft big board currently, and that is Texas running back Jonathan Brooks. I don't know how he fell this far, but he did. Maybe it's the injury. People are concerned about the injury, how long it's going to take him to recover, et cetera, et cetera. I'm getting 3-down versatility and ultimately the best running back outside of Blake Corum, in my opinion, in the 2024 NFL Draft. Okay, that's going to do it for this episode. Please let me know in the comments section what you think about both of those mock drafts. Would you trade back to gain additional draft capital as I did in the first mock draft that I showed you, or would you stay put and just play it as it lies as I did in the second mock draft? Where do you see the better value as this one played out? And who would you pick in some of those spots? If you have an opinion on that, please let me know in the comments section. I love to interact with people in the comments section. I try to literally interact with every comment that anyone makes, positive or negative, regardless of how you feel about the mock draft. Again, I do want to say thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video and stay tuned for more great NFL draft content.